It's 4 a.m. We outside the club tonight. There's a lot of beautiful ladies outside tonight. You right there. Yeah, I see you with them stilettos on. You got on my favorite color on them toes. I bet we jet back over to the hotel. We can leave at noon.
Got it all, cause your body is fine and you're blowing my mind. Got it all, shorty tryna make you mine. Got it all, from the waist side. Know you're riding well, the OT and stateside. Baby girl, you got it all. Baby girl, you got it all. Baby girl, you're looking good. Know you're rolling well, the front to a backwood. Baby girl, you got it all. Baby girl, you got it all. Baby girl, roll with me. Know you tipsy over 2 cups of Hennessy. Baby girl, you got it all. Baby girl, you got it all. Baby girl, I'm getting right with you. Come and spend the night with you. Oh, girl, got it all. Cause your body is fine and you're blowing my mind. Got it all. Shorty tryna make you mine. Got it all, from the waist side. Know you're riding well, the OT and stateside. Baby girl, you got it all. Baby girl, you got it all.
Yeah, girl, you smell good. Yeah, girl, you look fine. Yeah, you a little freak, even when you on FaceTime. Yeah, girl, you got it all. Yeah, girl, you got it all. Yeah, she from Brentwood, whipping on wood grain. Got a Mercedes 82, whipping in out of lanes. Baby girl, you scheming. Got a nigga fiending. To the left, to the left. Go ahead and be little Beyonce off to yourself. Going to the left, going to the left, going to the left, going to the left, yeah.
Got it all, cause your body is fine and you're blowing my mind. Got it all, shorty tryna make you mine. Got it all, from the waist side. Know you're riding well, the OT and stateside. Baby girl, you got it all. Baby girl, you got it all.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. I am in the building. True and Livin. I'm not your homie. I'm the one and only Macaroni. You're listening to the beautiful stylings of yours truly, True and Livin. I am in the building. Hope you guys are enjoying your weekend. You know, whatever you're doing this weekend, I hope you're enjoying yourself. I hope you're having a good time. We are gathered here today to do a tier list. I haven't done a tier list in a while. And I thought, let's do something fun. For my first show back, I haven't done a show in a while. I thought let's do something fun. I don't necessarily want to do a news topic. I don't necessarily want to talk about this, that, and the third. I thought let's do something fun. Let's do something, hip-hop oriented. Something about hip-hop. Something, based on hip-hop and hip-hop music. Let's do a tier list on Jay-Z and Nas, their albums. Now, I'm a big fan of both of these individuals. I'm a huge Nas fan. Nas is my favorite rapper of all time. But Jay-Z is not too far along. Jay-Z's probably my third or fourth favorite rapper of all time. I mean, he's definitely in my top five. But Nas is my favorite rapper of all time. But I do realize that Nas has made some bad albums, and I do realize that Jay-Z has some great albums, as well as some stinkers as well. But I want you guys to chime in terms of what you feel, in terms of the albums, in terms of what you like, and let me know if you guys are you guys Nas fans? Are you guys Jay-Z fans? Is there a particular album that you like of Jay or Nas? Is there a particular album that resonates with you? Let me know in the comment section. I'm all ears tonight. But this is going to be a hip hop tier list, and what we're going to be doing is doing a tier list on Jay-Z and Nas's albums. Both of these have an illustrious career, an illustrious discography. Some of the best discographies in hip hop, if we're going to be honest. Let's be honest here. I think these are two of the best discographies. I mean, I would pick Kanye up there as well. I would pick Kendrick up there. Drake is up there as well. But these two artists has one of the best discographies in hip hop, in my opinion. You know. I mean, Jay-Z, he's been in the game since, really since the 80s with Jazzo and the Originators. Nas, he's been in the game since, I would say 91, Live at the Barbecue. Jay-Z's debut album came out in 96. Nas' debut album came out in 94, Illmatic, heralded as a classic in hip-hop, Reasonable Doubt as well, a classic. So it's going to be interesting to see where a lot of these albums fall for me. Now, again, like I've said, both of these artists have put out some stinker albums. That's a fact, right? And let me know in the comment section, what albums you guys like. Let me know what Jay-Z albums you guys like, what Nas albums you guys like. Let's just be real though. Both of these artists have put out some bad albums. It's going to be interesting to see where these things link up. Now, let's go with the first album on the lineup. Let's get into the first album on the lineup, and that's 444. Okay, I love 444. I think 444 is a great body of work. I think that it's a modern day classic. What I say, matter of fact, let me take that back. I would say that it's a modern day grown up hip hop album. I think it's still a little bit too early to call it a classic. It came out in like 2016, maybe 17. Yeah, maybe a little too early to call it a classic. Let me not call it a classic, but it's a very, very, very good album. I think it's a age appropriate album. It shows that you can age gracefully in hip hop. It does a great job at that. It's a great storytelling. It's a story of a man killing his ego and growing in hip hop and evolving. It tells a great story, about, growing out of misogyny, a misogynoir, having a different perspective on life, a different perspective on, the decisions that you made that were wrong. So I think it's a very great body of work, a very great solid body of work. So I'm going to put it not in the S tier, I'm going to put it in the A tier. Do you guys agree with that? I'm going to put 444 in the A tier. Wouldn't call it a classic. I think it's too early to call it a classic. Everybody in hip hop, we're too fast to call everything a classic. The album. Some albums will come out, and in the first 5 seconds, somebody will call it a classic. Classics have to be around for a long time. It has to, first of all, you shouldn't be calling any album a classic if it hasn't been around for at least 10 years. You can call it a great body of work. You can call it a solid body of work. You can call it a great material. But, for us to be calling every single album a classic after it's only been out for a few years or a few days or whatever, I think it's ridiculous. It's a great body of work. It's a solid body of work. It's an incredible body of work. I think that it's proper to put it in the A tier. I think that 444 is a great body of work. Now, let's get into the next album. Nas and Damian Marley, Distant Relatives. We got any Damian Marley fans in here? Any Damian Marley? Anybody a fan of Damian Marley? The son of Bob Marley. So Nas decided to do a collab album with Damian Marley. Now, I'm going to be honest. When this album came out, wasn't a huge fan of it, right? I didn't like it. I didn't really run to it. I ran to it maybe a couple of years ago, maybe like last year. I actually gave this thing a spin. But when it first came out, I was not a huge fan of it. Didn't really run to it. Didn't really give it an honest listen. But I did run to it a year ago. And it's not a bad body of work. Is it a classic? Is it the most incredible Nas album that I've ever heard? No, it's not. But I don't think it's a bad album. I really don't. I went back to it and I don't think it's a bad album. I wouldn't say that it's trash. I wouldn't say that it's average. I would probably put it, I'm gonna put it in the C tier. It's not a bad album, but it's not his best work. And I wouldn't necessarily call it, middle, which I would more so put it C. It's not a bad album, but I'm not necessarily big on it. But I think that when it first came out, I probably should have gave it an honest listen when I was younger. Listening to it today, I'm more so, I think that it's not a bad album, but I wouldn't necessarily call it an incredible body of work or anything like that. But I think C is where it deserves to be. Now let's go. We're doing another Nas album. Actually, let's do one J and then one Nas. One J and let's not do a bunch of Nas, because there's a bunch of Nas albums coming up, and I want to let's do another J album and let's switch it off like that. So now we have American Gangster. Anybody a fan of American Gangster? Jay-Z, American Gangster. Anybody a fan of that album? I like American Gangster. I really think that it's a solid body of work. I think that it told an incredible story. I think it told an incredible story. I think that it's a pretty good album. You got songs like Blue Magic, you got songs like Success, songs like Party Life, songs like Ignorant-ish. There's a lot of classic songs on there, great songs. And like I said, it tells a great story. Tells a very great story. The rise and fall of an American gangster. I think Jay-Z did a great job on this album. What I call it, I don't think it's as good as 444. I don't. I really don't think it's good as 444. But I think that I'm going to put it in the A tier. I think I'm going to put it in the A tier. For me. This is my personal preference. This is my personal preference. If you don't feel like this is the album that's deserving, remember, music is subjective. But for me, I think American Gangster is a really good project. I think that, it tells a very great story. There's a lot of great songs on there, a lot of great writing. I think Jay-Z did a great job with that album. I think that it's one of his best albums, especially in the later half of his career. He really did a great job with that album in the later half of his career. Let's go back to Nas. Hip Hop is Dead. Any Hip Hop is Dead fans in here? Do we have any Hip Hop is Dead fans in here? Let me know. Now, the problem with this album, in my opinion, is Nas didn't do a good job telling the full story. He didn't do a a lot of times Nas will have a concept of an album. Like he's done this before. He did this with the N-Word album. Well, he'll have a really great concept, but he won't really seal the deal on the concept. He'll kind of like half-ass do the project. Won't really tell the full story. Won't really let the idea come full circle for him. And I feel like he's done this on a few albums. I think he also did this on a Nostradamus album. But Hip Hop is Dead, I think it's a few good tracks on there, but I think ultimately it's not a good Nas album. It's not a good Nas album. I'm not going to say it's his worst. It's not his worst album, but I'm going to put it next to the Distant Relatives album. I'm going to put it there for me. For me. For me, that's where I would put it. I would put it somewhere. What's up to 7? 7 says, what's up, check-in? What's up, 7? Good to see you, man. Let me know how you feel about this tier list. How do you feel so far? Do you feel like this is do you feel like these albums are being placed properly so far? Do you think I'm doing a good job? Do you think I'm doing a bad job so far? Let me know. Let me know. Right now, my mouth is hurting. My mouth is hurting crazy right now, but I'm gonna try to get through this thing. Yeah, my mouth is hurting crazy right now, but I'm gonna try to get through this. Yeah, but life is. I mean, life is good. Hip hop is dead. I think that he didn't really do a good job with the telling the full story and letting the idea get flushed out. But you know, it's not a bad album. It's not his worst album. We're gonna get to his worst album. But you know, that's where I feel hip hop is dead is. I mean, Illmatic. Let's get to Illmatic. Actually, let's go to Jay-Z. My fault. Let's go to a Jay-Z album. Let's do Blueprint 2. Any Blueprint 2 fans in here? Any Blueprint 2 fans in here? Jay-Z's first double album, Blueprint 2. A lot of good songs on this album, but it's very bloated. It's a bloated album. A lot of throwaway tracks. I mean, he got the song on there with Lenny Kravitz. That was trash. He got a couple stinkers on there. You know, a lot of filler. He had a track with like State Property and a bunch of niggas from State Property. I think it's called As One. Yeah, it's a lot of filler on there. Now it takes away from a lot of the great songs that are on here, like Somehow, Some Way, Meet the Parents, A Dream, Excuse Me, Miss. A lot of great songs on here, but the problem is it's too much filler. So it takes away from how great the other songs are. So I'm gonna put it in the C tier. I don't think it's his worst album, but I think that he did a poor job with putting too many songs on this damn album. So many damn songs on this damn album. It's just too many songs. That's what ruined this project for me. Seven says, it looks so far. I'm a Nas fan, so I'm curious how you're going to rank them. Yeah, you know, hold on, Seven. We got a lot of bad Nas albums to get to. Nas made a lot of bad albums. The boy made a lot of bad albums. We got a lot of bad albums to get to. Yeah, man. But as far as Blueprint 2, I think that what makes it bad is that Jay-Z put a lot of filler on this damn album. It's too much filler. It's too much filler. If he really would have condensed that Blueprint 2 album, it could have been another classic. It could have been another Blueprint. But he put too many damn songs on there. That's what ruins it, you know? But that's the Blueprint 2. Let's get into a Nas album. I mean, Illmatic. I mean, come on. Let's get to Illmatic. Illmatic, come on. Easy classic. Easily a classic. Come on. Easily. Easily a classic. Illmatic, you know, heralded as the greatest hip-hop album of all time. I mean, what more could be said about this album? 5 mics and a source. Universally known as one of the greatest hip-hop albums. No skips. I mean, I think enough has been said about this album. This is really Nas's magnum opus, really. Illmatic is really his magnum opus. It's really his introduction to the game. But a lot of people feel like Nas has never been able to really recapture this. I disagree. I think he has albums that are better than this, in my opinion. But I think that this is a classic. I think that this album does hunt Nas. It does hunt him. Because people feel like he can't recapture this, when in reality, no artist should have to recapture what they've done 20, 25 years ago. Like, you know, you should be wanting what's new from the artist. You got a lot of hip hop fans, a lot of hip hop backpacker fans that just want the same old regurgitated. They just want to hear another Nas album with Pete Rock and DJ Premier. Me personally, I don't. I want to hear what Nas was coming with new, and I think he delivered that on a lot of different albums. But you know, Nas classic album. Illmatic is heralded as one of the greatest hip hop albums of all time. I mean, I think enough has been said about that. I mean, there's nothing really more I could really say. Incredible album, incredible body of work. I think that it definitely deserves to be in the A tier. Let's do a Jay-Z album. Let's do Kingdom Come. I'm gonna save Dynasty for another round. Let's do Kingdom Come. Kingdom Come. This was Jay-Z's return album back to the game. You know, after he had left the game, he went on a hiatus or whatever. He left the game and he made his triumphant return. Show me what you got, little mama. Kingdom Come was a bad album. Let's just be frank. It was a bad album. It's probably Jay-Z's worst album, easily his worst album, easily. I think he came back. He was a little rusty. There was guys in the game that were a lot more popping, a lot more polished, a lot more hungrier. Guys like Lil Wayne, guys like Kanye, and a lot of different other rappers that were just more hungrier and that were just more in tune to what the game was and where it was going. And I think he was just rusty on this album. But I think it's easily, Kingdom Come is easily Jay-Z's worst album. So I'm going to put it in the last D tier. We're going to put it in D tier. D tier. Easily Jay's worst album. Easily. It's not even a debate if that's his worst album. It's his worst album. Let's do a Nas album. Let's do what Nas album do I want to do? Let me see. I'm trying to like switch it up every round. I don't want to do two J's and then a couple Nas's. I want to switch it up every round. Let's do Life is Good. Life is Good. I like Life is Good. It's not a bad album, but I do think there's a lot of bad songs on there. Like the Summer on Smash, that's a bad song. I think what's wrong with Life is Good, I think Nas put a lot of songs on there that didn't belong. Like, what's that song with him and Rick Ross? I think it's called Accidental Murder. That song had no place on Life is Good. What Life is Good should have been from front to back, from start to ending, it should have been Nas's Hear My Dear. It should have been like a Marvin Gaye Hear My Dear. This was essentially an album. He was reflecting on his marriage with Khalees. And I think he kind of missed the opportunity on this album. Seven says the Beach Chair track with Coldplay on Kingdom Come was dope. You liked that track? I never liked that track. That track never really done it for me. But furthermore, on Life is Good, I felt like this album, it strayed away from a lot of things that needed to be talked about more on this album. I felt like, a lot of songs that just didn't belong. And I felt like he should have just stayed on topic, because there's a lot of great songs on here, like Cherry Wine, Stay. There's a lot of great songs on here that he's really getting deep on his relationships and really, problems in that nature. And I think he kind of dropped the ball on this album, where it could have been so much better if he would have just stayed on topic and not thrown these little, like what's that other track? What's the single for this joint? Hold on, let me look into this real quick. What's the single for this album? Give me 1 second. Oh, The Don. Yeah, The Don. That was the single for this album, The Don. Yeah, that was a bad single. It wasn't a bad song. It was a bad single for what this album was. This album was an ode to Khalees. It was an ode to his divorce with Khalees. And I think that he should have just made this whole album just an ode to his ex-wife. I think he goes off topic on this album. And it really diminishes the potential that where this album could have went. This album could have been so much better if he would have just stayed on topic. But for me, I'm going to put this album in the C tier for me. I think that it's not a bad album. But I think that, almost like, a Blueprint 2, the potential could have been way higher if, it would have been a little bit more focused. If it would have been more focused and condensed, the album would have been better if it was more focused and condensed. A lot of albums, both of these two made, if it was just more focused and condensed, it probably would have been a better effort. but they kind of fell slave to whatever the game was, or however many tracks the label wanted them to put on the album, or whatever it was. And I think they felt slave. They fell victim to that, it kind of hurt where the album could have went and what it could have been. But yeah, I'm gonna put it in the C tier. Let's do a J album. We're gonna do what J album? Oh, the Black album. Let's do a Black album. The Black album. This is essentially Jay-Z's farewell album. He's pretty much exiting the game. We're gonna do Streets Disciple. We're gonna get to that. Maybe I'll do Streets Disciple next, since you want to talk about Streets Disciple. Maybe we'll do Streets Disciple next, after we do the Black album. The Black album is a good album, very great album, but I do feel that this album is a tiny bit overrated. There are some bad songs on this album. Do I think that it's a classic album? Yes, but I think it's a time period classic. I don't necessarily think that it's a timeless classic album. I think it's a time period classic. I think that, we have to differentiate. Every hip hop album is not every album that we deem classic is not a timeless classic. There's very few timeless classic hip hop albums. There are timeless classic hip hop albums, and there are time period classic albums. I think Black album is a time period classic album. We for those who remember, we remember Jay-Z retiring out of the game. We remember his triumphant leaving the game. I'm Jordan, I'm leaving with my number in the rafters. I'm the greatest, and yada yada. We remember those things, and we have fond memories of that. But essentially, do I think that it's a classic album today, 20 years looking back? I don't think it's a classic album. There's some stinkers on there. Justify My Thug, that's a stinker. But you do have some classic songs on there, like PSA. Lucifer is a good song. Allure. There's some great songs on there. So I won't put it in the A tier. I'm gonna put it in. It's gonna be my first selection in the B tier. My first selection in the B tier. I think that it deserves to be in there. I think it's fair to put that album in that tier. I think it's fair to put it there. I don't think it's a classic. I don't think it's a classic. I think that it's a very solid body of work. But there's some stinkers on there. There's some stinkers that kind of make sure that it's not make me feel that it shouldn't really deserve to be in a class. I don't even think it's good as 444, if I'm being honest. That compared to 444, I think 444 is a better body of work, more solid, more focused, condensed. So Black album, not a bad album, but I'm not as high on that album as other people are. 7 said Streets Disciple. Let me see if I can find that album here. I know it's coming up, but I don't see it on here. Yeah, let me see something. Hold on. Okay, it is here. Give me 1 second. Yeah, it's here. All right. Let's do Streets Disciple next. Let's do Streets Disciple. Jay-Z, this is Nas's double album. I'm gonna be honest, 7. If I had to pick which artist did a double album better, Jay-Z or Nas? Jay-Z's Blueprint 2 or Nas's Streets Disciple? I gotta be honest. I think Jay-Z's double album is better. Let's talk about it. Streets Disciple, Nas's double album. I think it was just too bloated. A lot of bad songs on there. A lot of bad songs. Now, don't get me wrong. You got some good songs on there. I love the Nazareth Savage. I love the biography of Rakim. That's a great song, great ode to Rakim. And it's a couple of good tracks on there. but it's a lot of it's a lot of BS on there. It's just like background music. It's not really focused. I don't really think Nas and Jay-Z did a great job with these. I think that Nas's best attempt on trying to make a double album was when he tried to do um the um the I Am album. The original I Am album that was going to have all of those tracks from the Lost Tapes. I think that should have been Nas's double album. I think that would have been a great double album. But in terms of Street's Disciple, I don't think that this is a good double album. I think it's one of the worst double albums ever, to be honest with you. And that's saying a lot because there's a lot of bad double albums, but it's a very bad. I think that this double album is worser than Jay-Z's double album. As you know, Jay-Z's double album, I put in the what is it? I put it in the C tier. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna put Street's Disciple. I'm gonna put it in the D tier for me. For me, I gotta put it in the D tier. I'm sorry. I gotta put Street's Disciple in the D tier for me. I'm saying this as a Nas fan. As a Nas fan, I'm putting Street's Disciple in the D tier. I think that it's possibly Nas's worst album. And we're gonna get to more Nas albums. There's gonna be other Nas albums to talk about, but it may possibly be Nas's worst album. It's definitely a contender for his worst album. It's definitely a contender. Yeah, so it's not a 7 says I agree. 7 says I agree. Yeah, listen, it's one of his worst albums. Easily one of his worst albums. No question about it. Let's get into a J album. Let's do Let's do Magna Carta Holy Grail. Let's save the volumes for another round. Magna Carta Holy Grail. It was a very interesting album. This is Jay-Z's album. Essentially, he did a deal with Samsung to sell 1 million copies. Pretty much Jay-Z didn't want to look like a failure with the first week sales. So he did a deal with Samsung to sell 1 million copies of this album. Yeah, he has songs on there like Picasso Baby and other songs. I think this is one of Jay's worst albums. It's not as bad as Kingdom Come because he's very sharp and very witty with the rhymes. The ability is there on this album, on Magna Carta Holy Grail. The ability is there, but what's missing is the production. The production is missing. He doesn't have he's missing the ear in terms of production. The ability, Jay-Z is sharp as ever on this album. He has some very great lines. I think Heaven. He killed Heaven. Heaven, he was flowing crazy on Heaven. The ability is there, but the production was not there. I don't think that he had a great ear in this point in his career. And the people he had around him, even though he had great producers around him, I don't feel like they gave him what he needed. Do I think that this album is as bad as Kingdom Come? No. But I think that generally this is a bad album. When we look back at Jay-Z's career, we're not going to say this is one of his best bodies of work. I'm gonna put it D tier for me. I'm gonna put it D tier. I'm gonna put it in the D tier. I don't think that this is a good album. Seven says, yeah, I agree. Heaven was dope. Yeah, Heaven was dope. It was a couple of tracks on there. The track with Rick Ross, F with me, I got it. That was a cool track. Picasso Baby. That was an interesting track. But it's a lot of nonsense on there. It's a lot of what is this? What is Jay doing? And where is he at today? I don't think when we look back at Jay-Z's career, this is not an album that we're gonna go back and say this is an essential Jay-Z album. This is an album that we have to go back listen to. It's more so Jay-Z in the later half of his career still trying to figure things out, trying to find his place, not necessarily find his place, but more so trying to give an age appropriate hip hop that he can connect with the younger audience. I don't necessarily think he was in a comfortable spot in this album. I think more so he was more so just, an elder statesman just around and showing people he can still do it. I don't think he had anything interesting to say on this album. The points in this album is more so, look at me, I'm a billionaire. I buy expensive of artwork, and there's really no greater message like a 444. There's no like I said, the ability is there, but the production is not there. The message is not there for me on Magna Carta, Holy Grail. And then you got that trash single with Justin Timberlake. Didn't he have like some type of single with Justin Timberlake? That was trash. Yeah, so I didn't like that album. Let's do a Nas album. Let's do. Let me see. What Nas album do I want to do? What Nas album do I want to do right now? I'm trying to save some of the classics for later. Let's do King's Disease. Let's do a King's Disease. Let's do King's Disease 1. King's Disease 1, I really like this album. I like that album. I think that it's a breath of fresh air into Nas's career. For a long time in Nas's career, a lot of people counted him out. A lot of people said, Nas don't make good albums. He don't pick good beats. And for a lot of people, this was the album of Nas having a resurgence back in his career, where he found the right producer, the right beats, and it really breathed fresh air into his career and to his albums. There was a renewed interest in to his albums, and I think it's a great body of work. It tells a great story. It's more so a lovey-dovey Nas. It's not necessarily Nas, with some type of intellectual message or some greater profound thing to tell to the audience. It's more so lovey-dovey Nas, relationships, reflecting on that, reflecting on where you are in life and growing, and it's more so that. But I like the message. It's age-appropriate hip-hop, and I love that. I think it achieves what 444 does in terms of that message. So I really like this album. Do I think that it's on the same level as American Gangster and 444? That's where I have to challenge that. Do I think that it's good as 444? You know what? I think King's Disease deserves to be next to these albums. I'm gonna put King's Disease in the A tier for me. Because when we look back at this album, we're gonna say this is Nas, and being this is Nas getting a breath of fresh air into his career. This is Nas with a renewed interest, with a great producer, and they're working hard. And I really think this is a good body of work. It's a good body of work. It's a solid album. It's a really good album. And I think we're gonna look back at this album and say, yeah, this is where Nas is turning a new leaf into his career, and it's a resurgence into what he's doing. It's a renewed interest in what he's doing, and I'm gonna put it in the A tier for me. I'm gonna put it in the A tier. That's just my opinion, though. I know people may feel it's a little too high, I'm not necessarily disagreeing. This is just how I'm feeling right now. Remember, music is subjective. Where I'm feeling right now, I feel like what this album represents, what it did for Nas, it being a solid body of work, not necessarily a classic, but a solid body of work, like American Gangster, a solid body of work, not necessarily a classic, but a solid body of work. It's deserving to be in the A tier. 7 says he got the Grammy too. Exactly. Let me put that up there. 7 says He won the Grammy as well. Yes, he won the Grammy for this album. This is for so many years, the Grammys had disrespected Nas. He finally, my fault, yo. He finally got that monkey off of his back and finally got that album of the year. I mean, hip hop album of the year, rightfully deserving. I think it's deserving. It's Nas's first hip hop Grammy. It's deserving to be in this tier. So I'm gonna put this. I think we're gonna look back at that album and say this is Nas. The resurgence of Nas. This is where it begins. So yeah, I'm gonna put it there. Let's do a J album though. Let's do a J album. Let's get back to J. What J album do I want to do? Let's do volume 1 or 2. Let's do 2. Let's do volume 2. Volume 2. And let me know how you guys feel in terms of the albums. Do you agree with this do you agree with this list so far? Do you guys feel like this list is doing justice? Do you feel like this is a good list so far? Do you think that this list is valid? You know? Do you feel like I feel like this is not a bad list so far? I feel like we're doing pretty good here. But let's do volume 2. Anybody that knows me, I love volume 2. I think this is one of my favorite Jay-Z albums. But I have to admit there are some bad songs on here. He has a song with Foxy Brown. That song is kind of whack. But I love this album. This is one of my favorite Jay-Z albums. I love this album. It's All Right. He has I forgot the song with Kid Capri. That song is fire. I think Money Cash Holes is on this album as well. A week ago with Too Short. That's a classic Jay-Z song. So this is one of my favorite Jay-Z albums. This is like prime Jay-Z for me. So for me, I really like this album. Do I agree that there are some stinkers on this album? Yes, there's some bad songs on this album, but I think the greatness on this album outweighs the bad on this album. For me, I'm gonna put this album next to the Black Album. I think that it deserves to be there for me. I think that there's a lot of great songs on here, a lot of classic Jay-Z songs on here, and pretty much it's prime Jay-Z. It's prime. This is when Jay-Z hit his prime for me. I think this is when Jay-Z hit the prime and we figured out the formula because he was struggling before this album. He was struggling. Volume 1, even Reasonable Doubt. Reasonable Doubt was a classic, but it didn't do well in terms of sales. So this was really much. This is pretty much Jay-Z kind of figuring out the game, and him really getting his first success in the game. So I really love this album. So I'm gonna put it there. I don't think it's as good as 444. You can make a debate that Volume 2 is better than American Gangster. I would take that debate. I think that's a good debate. But I think that American Gangster tells a better story than Volume 2. Volume 2 is just Jay-Z. I'm a fly drug dealer. I'm out here. I'm effing all the bitches. I'm getting all the money. I'm pouring all the crystal. It's me being a rap superstar. American Gangster tells a better story because it's the rise and fall of an American gangster. So I'm going to leave those two where they are. So I think so far we're doing pretty good. Let's do another Nas album. Another Nas album. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Again, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And let me know if you guys are so far agreeing with this thing. Or do you find this list suspicious so far? Do you think there's a Jay-Z or a Nas bias? Let me know.
You don't find that suspicious?
Let me know.
You don't find that suspicious?
Do you find the placement suspicious?
You don't find that suspicious?
Do you find, because I am a Nas fan, there's only one Nas album. There's only one album at the top of the list so far, and it's a Nas album. Do you think there's a Nas bias so far? Let your voice be heard, So where we at? Uh, we just did that was a J album, right? Yeah, we just did a J album. So let's do a Nas. All right. So is that the Lost? Let's do Lost Tapes. I think Lost Tapes 1. Lost Tapes 1 is one of Nas's best albums. Easily one of Nas's best albums. I think Lost Tapes should have been an official Nas album. I know it's a bunch of songs that, essentially got leaked during the IM era. It's one of Nas's best body of work. When you listen to songs like Blaze of 50, No Ideas Original, Fetus, it's so many incredible songs on there. It really these songs really deserve to be on a real album. Lost Tapes is probably it's easily one of Nas's best albums. I really feel that way. And these songs really should deserve to be on an official album. But if you know the story about the Lost Tapes, essentially these were songs that got leaked during the IM era. These songs were supposed to be on IM. Some of these songs were supposed to be on IM, the album. And these songs essentially got leaked on a mixtape. IM was supposed to be a double album. I believe the first song was supposed to be Fetus. So I believe the first song was supposed to be Fetus, and it's supposed to be like a double album on IM. But that all got squashed after the album got leaked. Or the songs got leaked. So Nas later put this Lost Tapes together. And I think when you go back and listen to the Lost Tape, it's some of Nas's best work. It's a solid body of work. A lot of great song making, a lot of great songs, a lot of great concepts. I'm gonna put Lost Tapes. I'm not gonna put it in the classic next to Illmatic, but I'm gonna put it next to King's Disease. It's a really great body of work. It's a really great body of work. It's a really great album. If anybody hasn't heard it, go listen to Lost Tapes now. It's a really great body of work. It's some of Nas's best work. It's absolutely essential that you listen to it. If you're a Nas fan, if you like any of his music, it's definitely something you should be listening to in terms of that. So let's get to the next thing. Let's do a J album. Oh man, we got so many to get to in terms of J albums. We're gonna get to It Was Written. I see Seven talking about I Gave You Power. Yeah, we're gonna get there. Salute to Deltron. Deltron, he says Stillmatic. Then he says It Was Written was hard. We're gonna get to It Was Written. Godson was legit. We're gonna get to Godson. He said he's a diehard Nas fan. So am I. I'm a huge Nas fan. Nas is my favorite rapper of all time. Deltron. Yeah, Nas is my favorite rapper of all time. So absolutely, I agree with you here. He's my favorite rapper of all time. So I agree. Yeah, I agree. Let's get back to the list though. And make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you do that. So where was we at? Another J album, right? Let's see. Let's do Dynasty. Dynasty is pretty much when Jay-Z hit. He's pretty much in his peak of his commercial success. I don't think that Dynasty is an incredible body of work. It's some good songs on there, right? Let me go to the track listing just to make sure. I know Change the Game is on there. I just want to make sure I got the songs. I know Change the Game is on Dynasty. I believe a couple of other songs. I think is 1-900 Hustler on that. That's a great song. 1-900 Hustler's on there, right? Yeah, 1-900 Hustler's on there. That's a great song. Guilty Until Proven Innocent. That's the joint with R. Kelly, right? That's a cool joint. The joint with Scarface, This Can't Be Life. I Just Wanna Love You. That's a big song. Change the Game, like I said. Streets Is Talking. Okay. There's some You, Me, Him, and Her. Okay. There's some great songs on here. Parking Lot Pimpin'. There's some great songs on here. But do I think this is a classic album? No, I don't think this is a classic album. I think it's a decent album. It's a decent album. But I don't think it's a classic. I don't think it's a classic album. I think it's a classic album. We're not looking at this album like we're looking at Reasonable Doubt, like we're looking at Black Album, like we're looking at like a couple of other Jay-Z albums that we really love and enjoy, and that we look and say these are classic. We look at it more so as a solid body of work. I think it's a good album, but I don't think that it's as good as some of his other work. So I'm gonna put The Dynasty next to Life Is Good. I think it's good, but I don't think it's that good. Really, it should be here, but with the albums I've put here, I don't think it's deserving to be. It should be in B tier, but with the albums, like I don't think Dynasty, in my opinion, this is my opinion. I don't think Dynasty is as good as Black Album and Volume 2. I think that these are really great albums. I don't think Dynasty is as good as those two albums, in my opinion. It's an interesting point in Jay-Z's career, but I don't think that those albums are deserving to be. I don't think it's deserving to be there, in my opinion. Just how I feel, right? Let me see what Deltron talking about. We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to Blueprint. He says he just got hits, bro. It's gonna be hard for us Nas fans to know this. Yeah, listen, we're gonna get to it. We're gonna get to. I think that Jay-Z has some classic albums, Deltron. I mean, I know you're a Nas fan just like me, but Jay-Z has some classic albums as well. We're gonna get to them. He has some classic albums. Yeah, I don't feel right putting Dynasty next to Volume 2 and Black Album. I think that it's deserving to be where it's at. Let's do a Nas album though. Let's do It Was Written, and then after It Was Written, should we actually hold on. Because I don't want to do all the classics just yet. I want to kind of spread it out. Let's spread it out a little bit. Let's do Godson instead. Let's do Godson. I had Godson on bootleg. I actually had this album on bootleg. I like this album. I really like this album. It's a good album. There's a couple stinkers on there. There's a couple of songs on there that's just not like a little like but he does have some heat on there. What let me go to the track list just because I want to make sure I just want to make sure I got the songs right. But it's not a bad album. It's not a bad album at all. But it's not his best work, if we're just gonna be real. I just want to remember because these are some of the albums I grew up as a kid with. Get Down, Get Down is a classic song. Made You Look, classic song. Last Real Nigga Alive, that's one of Nas's best songs ever. If you haven't heard Last Real Nigga Alive, that's an incredible song that Nas wrote. I love Book of Rhymes. Even though people hate on I Can, I Know I Can, I like that song. It's not a bad song. Revolutionary Warfare, good song. Dance, that's a song about his mother. Condolences to Nas. That's a beautiful song he wrote about his mother. This is a good album. I don't think it's his best body of work, but I really think this is a good album. Me personally, How I'm feeling today, since I'm a Nas fan. Looking back, Book of Rhymes, Last Real Nigga Alive, Made You Look. The Cross was a bad song. That's one of the worst songs on there. The Cross. That's a bad song. The Cross. I think Eminem made that beat. Anybody? Let me look that up. Hold on. I think Eminem made that beat. The Cross. He got a song on here called The Cross. Yeah, Eminem made that beat. Yeah, Eminem made that beat. There's a song on Godson called The Cross. Eminem made that beat. That beat is trash. That song is trash. But I really love this album, and it's very nostalgic for me because I had this album on bootleg. So there's a little nostalgic bias for me. So I'm gonna put Godson for me. This is my list. This is not your list. This is my list. I'm gonna put this album in B tier for me. For me. There's a little nostalgic bias, I will admit. There's a little nostalgic bias. Oh, Thug Mansion. Yeah, Thug Mansion is on here. You right. Thug Mansion is on here. Deltron says Thug Mansion, though. Yeah, Thug Mansion was a good song. I liked that song, too. Yeah. 7 says Heaven was okay. Okay. How'd you guys like Revolutionary Warfare? I liked that song, Revolutionary Warfare, All Love and Warhead. I loved it. I love Revolutionary Warfare. Mastermind was a good song. Last Real Nigga Alive, though. I think Last Real Nigga Alive should have been the closer. That should have been the closer to the album, because that was such a beautifully written song. And it's like Nas's victory lap of that beef. Yeah, man. So that's where I got that album. And I will admit, it's a little bit of nostalgic bias for me because I'm a Nas fan. I had this album on bootleg, and I'm such a Nas fan, so it's a little nostalgic bias. A lot of people may not have this album as high as me. But that's how I'm rolling today. That's how I feel today. That's how I feel. Today, that's how I feel. I feel like that album deserves to be where it is. Let's do a Jay-Z album. We're gonna do another Jay-Z album. Let's do Blueprint 3. Blueprint 3. We did Blueprint 2. Let's do Blueprint 3. We're gonna get to Blueprint 1. That's we're gonna talk about that a little bit later. Blueprint 3. Blueprint 3 for me, I'm going to be honest. Blueprint 3, we're going to get to the pros and cons. Let's start with the cons. Let's start with the negative first. I think on this album, Jay-Z was being the biggest hypocrite on the planet. He made a song called Off That. Y'all remember that song? Tim's, we off that. This, we off that. Auto-tune, we off that. He made a whole song about things he off. And then he went on to do these things. He went on to wear a bunch of Timbs. Let's be real. Let's be frank here. He made a song called Off That. And in the song he said, Timbs, we off that. Everybody knows that Timberland boots is a staple in New York. Timberland boots is a staple in New York, right? In the song he said, Timbs, we off that. This man went on to wear a bunch of Timbs right after that. I didn't like that. And then, of course, you got the whole death of auto-tune. And this is where I realized, because there was a point in Jay-Z's career where he had a lot of cultural power, where he could tell the culture, we're not wearing throwback jerseys no more. We're gonna throw on button-ups. That was Black Album. That was Black Album. He had a lot of cultural power at one point in his career, where he was telling the culture what we're gonna do. We're gonna wear button-ups now. We're no more throwbacks, no more white tees. We're gonna throw on button-up shirts. Right? A lot of cultural power at one point. This is the album where I felt like he started losing his cultural power. First, he told niggas in New York that we off the Timbs. We're not wearing Timbs no more. Then he made a song called "Death of Auto Tune." Jay-Z. It's about what 15 years later after this album, niggas is still using auto tune. All right, they're using it more than ever. Deltron says Tim's in New York is like Chuck's in LA. That's a fact. That's a fact. Tim's is a staple in New York. You know, you could never get rid of Tim's. We could never get rid of Tim's. But I feel like with the Blueprint 3, I felt like this is where Jay-Z started to age out of hip hop. This is when he started to no longer be a credible voice. He no longer started to be a voice that was palatable or that was respected in hip hop. You know, you had a lot of people challenging for that crown. You know, it was no longer Jay-Z just being at the top of the game. You had other voices. You had Lil Wayne. You had Kanye. You had other voices in the South that were prominent and that were making a ploy for that crown. So this is where there was definitely some slippage. But let's get into the pros. He had a lot of great rapping on this album. You had songs like "Thank You," where he's pretty much clapping at all of his haters and naysayers. You had songs like "Empire State of Mind," Jay-Z's number one, but one of his biggest songs, "Empire State of Mind." He has some good joints on here, but essentially it's definitely not to the par of some of his greatest work. But I do respect the place. Oh yeah, and "Run This Town." "Run This Town" is an incredible song. Even though I'm not a fan of DOA, I do think "Empire State of Mind" is a little cheesy, but I do like the fact that it's a New York staple and a New York song. But "Run This Town" is so incredible. I love "Run This Town." "Run This Town" is an incredible hip hop song. It's incredible. It's an incredible song. Everybody killed that song. Rihanna, Kanye, Jay, everybody killed that song. It's incredible. It's one of Jay-Z's best songs in my opinion. But I do think that this album is. We're not gonna look back at this album and say it's his best work. We're gonna say it has one of his best songs on here, one of his biggest songs on here. But for me, album-wise, I'm going to put it not in his worst, but I'm going to put it in the C tier. For me, I'm going to put this album in the C tier. For me, I'm going to put it in the C tier. You could make a case that this album belongs in the D tier. I'm going to be honest. You can make a case that this album belongs in the D tier. You can make a case for it. Matter of fact, does anybody want to have a dialogue on Blueprint 3? Because I'm tempted. I'm tempted to put this album in the D tier. I'm tempted. Exactly. Seven says "Run This Town" was big. It was an incredible song. "Run This Town" is an incredible song. "Run This Town" was great. Thank You. Let me actually go to the track listing of this album. Give me 1 second. Let me go to the track listing of this album. I just want to put some of these songs in perspective. We talked about some of the bigger songs on here. Here we go. Blueprint 3. So we got, let me go to the track list. What We Talking About, Thank You, DOA, Run This Town, Empire State of Mind, Real As It Gets. On to the next one. I forgot about that. Off That, that's the song I was talking about. A Star Is Born, Venus vs. Mars, Already Home, Hate, Reminder, So Ambitious, Young Forever. You know, in further thought, there's some big songs on this album. If if there wasn't if the big songs on this album like Empire State of Mind and Run This Town, if those songs were not on this album is easily D tier. It's easily one of his worst albums. If Run This Town and Empire State of Mind and you know those songs, if those songs, Empire State of Mind, Run This Town, Thank You, if those songs are not on this album, this is easily one of his worst albums and a D tier album. But I think the big hits and the big songs save this album. So I'm gonna leave it where it's at. And we're gonna make one alteration. I'm gonna put this Distant Relatives album. I'm gonna put this Distant Relatives album at the end. I'm gonna put it at the bottom, just for me. I'm gonna put the Distant Relatives albums down. Okay. There's one alteration I'm gonna make, but I'm gonna put that one down. Does anybody have any objections? Any objections to the list so far? Do I have any objections so far? Does anybody agree with does anybody disagree with my list so far? Does anybody agree? 7. Deltron, does anybody disagree with my list so far? Seven said he had a couple bang. He did. He had a lot of bangers on this album. He did. He definitely did. Definitely a couple of bangers on there. So I'm gonna leave Blueprint 3 there. Let's do a Nas album. Let's do King's Disease 2. King's Disease 2. Incredible album. I think King's Disease 2 is better than 1. King's Disease 2, in my opinion, is better than 1. I think because the first one was a great, solid body of work. But I think 2 was when people really started to get on board. Let me pull up the track list for King's Disease 2. I think it's an incredible body of work. And I think this is when people started to believe in Hit Boy. Because I think the first album, people recognized that this was a resurgence in his career, but they wasn't necessarily sold on Hit Boy. They didn't necessarily say, okay, Hit Boy, you know, this is somebody we could trust with a Nas album. I think King's Disease 2 is where we started to feel, okay, this is where Nas is, and we can trust Hit Boy with a Nas album. You got songs like Store Run, songs like Nobody with Lauryn Hill, Death Row East, Brunch on Sundays, Count Me Out. I think this is a really, really good Nas album. He has a couple of stinkers on here though. But you know, I think for what this album, I do think it's better than the first King's Disease. It's gonna put me in an interesting spot because I feel like King's Disease 2 is better than 1. I may have to put King's Disease down. The first one. You know what? I'm gonna put King's Disease in the B tier. I'm gonna put King's Disease 2 in the B tier. I'm gonna put it in the B. I'm gonna put it in the B tier. I think that it is better, but I think that King's Disease 1 is it shows people that Nas is headed in a new direction. It's a resurgence. King's Disease 2 is people getting confirmation that Nas is getting in a new direction and a new producer. I'm debating. How do you guys feel? Well, Do you think that King Disease 1 or 2 is better? Because I'm torn on this a little bit. I really like King Disease, but I don't know which one is. I'm a little torn on it. Let me see what y'all saying. Let me see. I see Deltron is in there. Deltron says Nas' newer albums are dope, but it's hard to match the old Nas. That's true. He says that ish was black magic for real. Okay. He says, and that era also. Okay. He says, I think maybe 2 is better. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think 2 may be better. 2 may be better than 1. But I think that what 1 represents is more influential than what 2 represents. I'm debating here. You know what? We're going to swap. I'm going to put 2 in A tier. I'm going to put 1 in B tier. How do y'all feel about that? We're going to swap. If we're going to put 2 in A tier, we're going to put 1 in B tier. I think I feel confident so far. I agree, Deltron. I do think that 2 was better. I think 2 was better. I did enjoy 2 more than I did enjoy 1. I'm going to be honest. And we're going to get to 3. I enjoyed 3 as well. We're going to get to 3. That's going to be interesting when we get to 3, because that's going to be another debate as well. Let's get to J. Let's do another J album. Let me see. I kind of want to save the classics. I don't want to get to the classics yet. Give me 1 second. Ooh, that's what we're gonna do next. Watch the Throne. I'm gonna be honest about Watch the Throne. I'm gonna be honest. I think it's overhyped. A little overhyped. There's some stinkers on there. That song with Beyonce, that's a stinker. But I'm not gonna lie. There's some incredible songs on there. No Church on the Wild, that's a timeless song. No Church in the Wild, that's a timeless song. Niggas in Paris, timeless song. That's My BITCH, that's an incredible song. Prime Time, that's an incredible song. So there's a lot of incredible songs on there, but then there's some mid on there. There's some mid on there. But I mean, some of the songs on there are really incredible. Like No Church in the Wild. That's a timeless song. No Church in the Wild is a timeless song. Niggas in Paris, timeless song. Based off of those 2 songs alone, I can't see it in the last 2 tiers. I'm gonna be honest with you. It would have to be middle tier to the top 3 tiers. It had to be from middle to No Church in the Wild is I don't think a lot of these albums on this list don't have a song like No Church in the Wild. Let me be honest with you. No Church in the Wild and Niggas in Paris. A lot of the albums on this list right now don't have a song that great. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna keep it a buck. FBA Hustle in the building. What's up, FBA? FBA, what's up, man? How you doing, man? FBA says sup. He says what's up. Okay. Yeah, Otis. Otis was a good song as well. You know what? I'm gonna put Watch the Throne. It has to be in the top 3. It has to be in the top 3 tiers. For me. It has to be. Just based off of those songs are just too big. Those songs are just too great. Even if the rest of the album was garbage, those songs are just there's not a lot of songs like those songs. I'm gonna put it in. I'm gonna put it here. For me, I'm gonna put it here. Actually, I'm gonna put it over this as well. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. To put it in that tier, I think that's fair. I think that's fair to put it there. I think it's fair. I think it's fair to put it there. Just based off of those two songs alone. I think I have to put it there. Niggas in Paris. No Church in the Wild with Frank Ocean. I have to put it there. I'm sorry. I have to put it there. It was really irking me, but I have to put it there. Let's do a Nas album. We got a lot of Nas albums, a lot of J albums to get to. What Nas album should I do next? Let's do Nostradamus. Let's do Nostradamus. Nasty Nas, the Escobar. Now he is Nostradamus. Nasty, the Nostradamus, Escobar. Now he is Nostradamus. This nigga Nas think he a street philosopher on this album.
You don't find that suspicious?
I do think that the Nostradamus album, it gets a little bit too much hate, in my opinion. It gets a little too much hate. I do think that, do I think it's a bad album? Yes. Do I think it's one of his worst albums? Yes. But I think it gets a little too much hate. A little too much hate. But it is one of Nas' worst albums. And I think deservingly so. Is Dr. Knockboot on this album? Is that on I Am or is that on this album? Dr. Knockboot. Dr. Knockboot is a bad song. It's probably Nas' worst song. Let me see something. Dr. Knockboot. It might be on I Am. Yeah, it's on I Am. I thought it was on Nostradamus for some reason. Dr. Knockboot is probably one of his worst songs. But I'm looking at the track list. Production, Life We Chose. Life We Chose is a great song. Nostradamus, Some of Us Have Angels. Project Windows, that's a great song. Come Get Me, that's a great song. Shoot 'Em Up, I love that song. I love Shoot 'Em Up. Last Words, that's a great song. Family with Mobb Deep, that's a cool song. God Love Us, Quiet Niggas. Big Girl, New World, You Owe Me with Genuine. Pay Me Back like you owe your rent. Pay Me Back. Yeah. I mean, it's like a club joint. Yeah, I think this album gets a little bit too much hate. But there is some mid on here. There's some mid on here. Nostradamus, kind of mid. Yeah. I don't think this is Nas's worst album though. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think this is his worst album. He's made worse albums than this. I don't think this is his worst album. I'm gonna be honest with you. But when we think of the life and legacy of this album, it is people look at it as one of his worst albums, and I don't think there's enough heat on here to really put it higher. So I'm gonna put Nostradamus in the last tier. I do think it gets a lot of hate. I do think it does get a lot of hate, but I don't know if I could put it higher. I don't know if it's deserving enough to put it higher. Yeah, I don't think it is. I don't think it's deserving enough to put it higher. There's some joints on there though. Project Windows. What did I say? Project Windows. And I like the single. I like the single with Genuine. I like You Owe Me. Life We Chose is incredible. Project Windows, Shoot 'Em Up. I love Last Words. That's my song. I love Last Words. You know what? I'm gonna keep it a buck. This is my list. I'm putting this album higher. I'm putting this album higher. Based off of Last Words and Life We Chose. Nah, I'm not putting this album that low. He killed Last Word. If you listen to his verse on Last Words, He killed Last Words. That was one of the greatest verses ever. I'm going to be honest. That verse was incredible on Last Words. I can't put it lower. I love that verse. Life We Chose, that's incredible. Incredible songwriting. Yeah, I can't put it lower. I think if I think a lot of the songs on Nostradamus are better than Blueprint too. Outside of Run This Town, Run This Town probably puts it over. Yeah, I'm not putting it lower. I'm not putting it in this tier. I'm leaving it where it's at. Cause yeah, Last Words and Life We Chose is just too incredible. Those songs are just based off of those two songs, and they're really, really great, man. I really like those songs. Yeah, so I'm leaving it there for now. Maybe we'll do some alterations. Let's do a J album. Hold on. Is that the Jay-Z and Beyonce? I forgot about that album. That Jay-Z and Beyonce album was trash. I'm gonna keep it a buck. It was trash. What was it? I think it was called Everything Is Love. That album was garbage. That was a garbage album. I think Jay-Z should have just did another Watch the Throne. Yeah. That was a garbage album. The Jay-Z and Beyonce album was whack. I ain't even gonna hold you. That album was whack. I ain't even gonna hold you. Let's do a Nas album. Let's do Magic. Let's do Magic 1. A lot of people like Magic 1. I wasn't too big on Magic 1. I thought it was cool. Couple of joints on there that I liked. I wasn't too big on it though. I don't think it's deserving to be in the top 3 tiers. I thought it was cool. Magic 1 for me, I'm gonna put it next to Nostradamus. Even though that's kind of like sacrilege, because a lot of people like Magic 1. A lot of people think Magic 1 is one of Nas' best albums. To be honest with you, but I'm not too big on that album. I'm not too big on the Magic 1. I'm not too big on it. I thought it was cool. A couple of good songs on there. But is it like some of Nas's greatest work? In my opinion, no, it's not. That's for me. Let's do a J album. They got a lot of J albums on here, but I noticed that they're missing Best of Both Worlds. That is a J album. I mean, you got his other collaborations. You got his album with Beyonce. You got his album with Kanye. Where's Best of Both Worlds? Why didn't add Best of Both Worlds on this tier? That was a Jay-Z collab. Why didn't they add that on here? They should have added that, That was a collab. I don't see it here. Is that it? I don't know what this is. Oh, that's the Nasir album. No, that's not it. Yeah, they didn't add Best of Both Worlds. That should be here. So what we doing? We did the Everything Is Good. So what? We doing a Nas album now? We doing a let's do another. Actually, we did a J. So we gotta do Nas. I Am. Let's do I Am. Oh shit, my fault. Let's do I Am. We're gonna do the I Am album. I love the I Am album. That's one of my favorite Nas albums. Undying Love. That's one of Nas's best songs, in my opinion. Let me hit that track list. Let's hit the track list real quick. Undying Love is on there. I know that for sure. That's a great song. A lot of people hate on I Am. Sometimes you gotta go to the track list just to remember. Make sure you're not, messing up on these great tracks on here. Yeah, I Am. Let me just read the track list. New York State of Mind Part 2. Hate Me Now. Small World. Favor for a Favor with Scarface. We Will Survive. Ghetto Prisoners. You Won't See Me Tonight. I Want to Talk to You. Dr. Knockboot. That's one of Nas's worst songs. Life Is What You Make It. That's a great song. Big Things. Nas is like. Kissing. I like that song. Money is my itch and Undying Love. Now I love this album. A lot of people hate on this album. A lot of people think this was like one of the the start of the decline of Nas in his career. I think that people don't give artists time to kind of like reboot. Sometimes an artist can't give you a classic. Sometimes they got to give you something that's not necessarily a classic, but that's a polarizing body of work. And I think that's what I Am is. I think people also don't realize that I Am is not his original concept. His original concept for I Am was supposed to be a double album. It was supposed to be songs from Lost Tapes and the original songs from I Am. It was supposed to be a homogenous pot. I believe. Don't quote me on this, but I think Fetus from the album Lost Tapes was supposed to be the beginning of I Am, and Undying Love was supposed to be the ending of I Am. But I love this album. I love I Am. I definitely think it's better than Nostradamus. I love I Am. Dr. Knockboot is what's really holding me back from putting this high, though. Dr. Knockboot is one of Nas's worst songs. Easily a top. I wouldn't even say top 5. I would say Dr. Knockboot is a top 2 worst Nas song of all time. I wouldn't even say top 5. I think it's a top 2 worst Nas song of all time. Easily. Top 2. How do y'all feel about Dr. Knockboot? I know y'all in there. Hold on. Deltron says Memory Lane is sick. That's a fact. It's a good song. Yeah, Undying Love is raw. Yeah, that Undying Love is incredible. It's an incredible song. Incredible. That's one of Nas's best songs. That's up there with Memory Lane. That's up there with Ryan. That's one of his best storytelling joints. Second Childhood, definitely. It's up there with those joints. But I Am, there's no way I'm gonna put I Am lower than Nostradamus. I'm gonna put I Am. You know what? I am going to put Nostradamus lower. I'm going to put I Am next to Magic. I think I'm going to do that. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Nostradamus was a bad album, right? Even though there's some joints on there, it was a bad album. I Am is a better album. It's a better album. It's a way better album. Dr. Knockboot, I can't put it next to King's Disease and Black Album. I'm sorry, I can't put it next to that. I can't put it next to Godson, Black Album, and Volume 2. I can't. I don't feel right putting Nostradamus. Well, I don't feel bad putting I Am next to King's Disease. You know what? I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable with this list so far. I'm comfortable. I like this list so far. How do y'all feel about this list so far? How do y'all feel about this list so far? Deltron 7. How do y'all feel about this list? Is this a fair list so far? I definitely care about you guys' opinion. Is this a fair list so far? Deltron says, bro, you know what's fair? Jay-Z not ever getting the album of the year. Jay-Z never got album of the year though. He never won album of the year from the Grammys. He might have won a rap album, once or twice, but he never won album of the year. No, he never won that at the Grammys. Yeah, he never won that. Let's get back to this list. Because we got a lot of albums to get to. Let's do a J album. I want to save some of the other classics for later. So I'm trying to get to the other joint. Let's do Volume 2. Volume 2. Anybody that knows the story of Volume 2, essentially Jay-Z was trying to find himself in his career. Reasonable Doubt flopped. And Jay-Z was trying to find his sound. Biggie had just lost his life out in Vegas. And Jay-Z was trying to reposition himself as the leader of the new school, So he worked with the Hitman, Stevie J and Diddy and the rest of those guys, trying to, almost take on that bad boy shiny suit sound. But it didn't really work out. But I'm going to be honest with you. There's some joints on this album. I feel like it almost it's almost like I Am, where there's joints on this album, but there's also some joints on this album that are bad. Like the single, what was it, Sunshine? That's a bad single. Even though I like the song, but it didn't work. Imaginary Player is incredible. I think a million, Rom No More is on here. What's that joint? Where I'm From is on here. There's some joints on here. I don't know if I want to put it next to Nostradamus. I don't know. You know what? I'm gonna put Volume 1 next to Nostradamus. I'm gonna put Nostradamus next to Volume 1. I don't think neither one of those albums are bad albums, but I feel like those albums could have been better if they didn't, settle for a lot of trash. They settled, like Jay-Z settled for Sunshine, like Nas settled for Dr. Knockboot. They both settled for something. And I think that's what hurt the album. So I think they both fell victim to settling. They should have just put out their truer vision. So yeah, I'm gonna put Volume 1 next to Nostradamus. I think that's fair. Let's do a Nas album. Let's do Nasir. Nasir, the Kanye produced Nas album. Cop Shot the Kid and all this other jazz. I think that this album did not do what it was supposed to do. We all were hyped on what Kanye was going to do for Nas. We thought that Kanye was going to... We essentially thought Kanye was going to do what Hit Boy essentially did, put new energy into his career. But it didn't turn out that way. We're not going to look back at that Nas album with Kanye in good fashion. I think you can make a case that the Nasir album is Nas' worst album. You can make a case. You can make a case that the Nasir album is Nas' worst album. You could make a case for it. And there's a couple of joints on there that I love. But you can make a case that that's Nas' worst album. I think Nasir is worse than Nostradamus. I think Nasir is worse than Distant Relatives. I think Nasir is worse than Street's Disciple. All of those albums have at least more than 3 to 4 songs that I really, really love or like. You know, Nasir probably got maybe one or two songs that I kind of like. So you can make an easy case that Nasir is Nas's worst album. You can make a case. So yeah, I'm gonna leave that there with Nas. I'm gonna leave that at the bottom with Nas for me. Put that there at the bottom. So let's do a J album. We ain't got too many left. Volume 2, Volume 3. I like Volume 3, but it's not as good as Volume 1. Where am I gonna put Volume 3? It's a couple of joints on there. I'm gonna put Volume 3 next to Volume 2. I don't think it's better than Volume 1. I don't think Volume 2, I don't think Volume 3 or 1 is more better than Volume 2. I think Volume 2 is a real statement for Jay-Z. It's very pivotal for Jay-Z's career. There would be no Jay-Z without Volume 2. Volume 2 is really the benchmark in his career where things start to change. Even though Volume 3 is like him, really, going, furthering the mythos of his career. But I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go Volume 3 in this tier. I don't think it got some joints on there, but not more impactful than Volume 2 for me. Let's get into a Nas album. I want to get some of these other ones out the way. Let me see. Let's do King's Disease 3. I love King's Disease 3. Very good album. I think it's better than 2 and 1, in my opinion. King's Disease 3 is really good. It's a really good album. Let me go to King's Disease 3. Let me go to the track list real quick. It's a good album, though. Give me 1 second, y'all. I just want to go to the track list. Ghetto Reporter, Legit, Thun, Michael and Quincy, 30, Hood to Hood, Recession Proof, Reminisce, I'm on Fire, Serious, What the F, Once a Man, Twice a Child, Get Light, First Time, Beef, Don't Shoot, Till My Last Breath. This is a good album. I'm going to put this album in B tier. For me, I'm going to put this album in B tier. I'm going to put it right next to King's Disease 1. For me. I'm going to put this album in B tier. That's just for me. I think this is a good album. You can make an argument that it's better than the other 2 King's Diseases. So that's where I got it. Does anybody object to that? Does anybody object to that? Deltron says, I miss the days of real hip hop. Where you had to spit. Deltron says, I was just thinking, Godson should definitely be a A or S. Godson had a couple of songs that weren't that good, if we're being honest. I mean, let's go back to Godson. For 1 second. It had a couple of joints that weren't that good. Let's go to it. The number one song, the wackest song on Godson, easily, the wackest song, is Eminem and Nas on The Cross. That beat, garbage. That's one of the worst Nas beats of all time. But Get Down, great song. Made You Look, great song. Last Real Nigga Alive, great song. Zone Out, cool song. Hey Nas, decent. I Can, I'm not mad at it. Book of Rhymes, I like that song. Thug Mansion, that's cool. Mastermind, that's cool. Warrior Song, Revolutionary Warfare, I like that song. Dance, that's a tribute to his mother. I'm not mad at that at all. Heaven, cool. It wasn't a bad album, but there was a couple of joints on there that was like, really it's the cross, and I don't remember this Alicia Keys song. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know if it was good or bad, but really I'm more mad at the cross. The cross, Eminem gave Nas some of the worst beats ever. That cross joint, I'm more so mad at that cross joint. So I mean, I think where the Godson is, I think that it's appropriate to be where it's at. I think where it's at, it's deserving to be where it's at. I think it's very deserving to be where it's at. It's high enough. I don't think it's low. I'm not disrespecting the album in any way. I think it's a pretty decent album. Yeah, Made You Look was a great album. I mean, Made You Look was a great song, rather. But we're not judging songs. We're judging albums. We're not just saying, I'm putting the songs into context, and I'm saying, yo, this album, this song is so great that I can't be this low. I mean, I did do that a couple times. I think where Godson is very appropriate. It's very appropriate to where it is. I don't think it should be higher. But let me see. Where did we do Nas last, or did we do Jaden last? How many more J albums we got? We only got 2 more J albums. So let me get through some of these. We're gonna do a couple of Nas albums. Because I want to save some. I want to save. There's two Nas albums and there's 2 J albums I want to save. So we're gonna get through some of the other Nas albums. Lost Tapes 2 had a couple joints. I like the joint with Static Selector. I like a couple of the joints, but did it live up to the hype of Lost Tapes 1? No. So I'm gonna put it in the last tier for me. Magic 2. I did not like Magic 2. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I did not like Magic 2. Magic 2, I felt like that was the first time Nas and Hit Boy let me down. Was it the worst thing that I've ever heard from Nas? No. Is it worse than Nasir? Absolutely not. But I did not like Magic 2. I'm gonna keep it a buck. So I'm gonna put it higher, definitely higher than all of these, really. Even Street's Disciple. But yeah, definitely did not like Magic 2. I did not like Magic 2. I that was the first time Hit Boy and Nas let me down. Didn't like that too much. Magic 2, yeah. Oh yeah, we got to get to Untitled. We're gonna get to Magic 3 and then Untitled. So Magic 3, I like Magic 3, but it kind of, yeah. I don't like Magic 3 like I like Magic 1, to be honest. I do think Magic 3 is not as bad as Magic 2. So I'm trying to figure out where I should put it. I think I'm going to put Magic 2 in the D tier. I'm going to put a D tier. Magic 3, I'm going to put a D tier. For me, I'm going to put Magic 3 D tier. How y'all feel about that? Yeah, for me, Magic 3, I liked it, but it wasn't as good as Magic 1. I think Magic 1 is the best one. Magic 2, I didn't like Magic 2. Magic 3 it improved a little bit better. But that's where I got that. Untitled. Oh my goodness. I think Untitled falls victim to The same thing Hip Hop Is Dead fell victim to, where Untitled didn't necessarily. And where do I have Hip Hop Is Dead? I don't see it on here. Where's Hip Hop? Okay, Hip Hop Is Dead is in the second to last tier. Hip Hop Is Dead. I feel like Hip Hop Is Dead. It didn't fully flush out the idea of the name of the album, and I think Untitled, which was originally titled the N word, nigger. I don't feel like the idea was fully flushed out. I don't feel like the idea was fully flushed out on this N-word album. And I think it falls victim to the same thing that Hip Hop Is Dead did. I think that there was a couple of joints on there that I loved. I love Project Roach. I love Fried Chicken. There's a couple of joints on there that I really loved, but I didn't understand the single. Like, what was that single he put out with Cherry Hilson? Hero. I hated that song. I hated it. It didn't make any sense. I felt like Nas, sometimes in his career, he'll have an idea in his head, but he won't fully flush out the idea. And he's done this a couple of times. He's done this. Hip Hop Is Dead, the N-word album. I'm going to even say Nostradamus. He's had a couple of albums where he's had an idea of what message he's trying to convey, what he's trying to do, but he didn't fully flesh out the idea on the album. And I think that the Untitled falls victim to that. So I'm trying to figure out where I want to put it. I'm gonna put it D tier for me. Even though I love Fried Chicken, I love Project Roach. There's a couple of songs that I really love. I really love Fried Chicken. I really love him and Busta Rhymes. They killed that. Project Roach. I love that song. There's a couple of joints that I really love, but for me personally, I'm gonna put it in the last tier for me. For me. I'm gonna put it there for me. So we got 2 Jay-Z albums left, and we got 2 Nas albums left. Now this is gonna be for all the marbles here, because right now we only got one Nas album that's a classic. So we just did a Nas album. Now I'm gonna let y'all keep it. I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all. We got one Nas album at the top. Now let's do Reasonable Doubt. Reasonable Doubt is a classic album. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Reasonable Doubt is a classic album. It's deserving. It's deserving to be put up there with some of the most classic albums on the world, in my opinion. It's an incredible body of work. You can make an argument that this is Jay-Z's best album. You can make an argument that this is Jay-Z's best rapping. You could make an argument that this is Jay-Z's best production. I mean, literally. I think that this is a great body of work. It's Jay-Z in an interesting part of his career. I think that it's one of his best bodies of work. I don't think when you look at Jay-Z's discography, I don't think he's ever been able to top this. Because a lot of people get on Nas and they say, well, he's never been able to top Illmatic. I don't think Jay-Z has ever been able to really top Reasonable Doubt, in my opinion. I don't think he's been able to top Reasonable Doubt. Lyrically, no. I don't think Jay-Z was rapping better on Blueprint than he was on Reasonable Doubt. I think Reasonable Doubt is his best rapping, in my opinion. So I think that Reasonable Doubt is definitely a classic album. Incredibly classic album. So that's where I got it. So let's get into the next album. Let's get into a Nas album. Let's get into It Was Written. It Was Written I love It Was Written, classic album. I'm putting it in the S tier. Of course, I'm putting it in the S tier. It's a classic album. It Was Written. I Gave You Power, Message, Shootouts, Affirmative Action, the setup, incredible album. So many people really like pump up Illmatic. I don't think people really got the, because you know a lot of hip hop heads, they're infatuated with Illmatic because it's like Nas when he's young, he's in his purest form. But I don't think they understood the story Nas was trying to tell through his music. Not Illmatic is Nas as a young man, as a young boy growing up in Queensbridge, right? That's what that story is. It's Nas is a young boy. He's not in the game. He's not really doing too much. He may sell a couple drugs here and there, you know, but he's not necessarily the big time, whatever, right? He's not really coming of age. He's more so just a young boy on the block observing. It Was Written is more so Nas getting his foot into the game. I'm stepping off it's almost like that young man growing and finally stepping off the porch. I'm finally getting into the game. I saw my friends sell drugs. I'm getting involved. I saw my friends gang bang. I'm getting into the game. I saw, you know, I'm finally having a coming of age as a man. That's what I feel that It Was Written was for Nas. And in my opinion, I feel like It Was Written is a better album than Illmatic. I feel like It Was Written is more of what I feel like black men, young black men in the inner city could more relate to It Was Written more than they can relate to Illmatic, in my opinion. I mean, you got stories like Black Girl Lost, The Message, Shootouts, I Gave You Power. I feel like young black men in the ghetto could relate more to It Was Written than they could Illmatic, in my opinion. And I think the storytelling on that album is incredible. So I have it as S tier, definitely S tier. It's a classic album. I think that, in my opinion, I think It Was Written is better than Illmatic. The only song on It Was Written that's bad is Nas Is Coming. Nas Is Coming is trash. That's a trash Nas song. I'm gonna keep it a buck. How that shit go? Nas is coming. Nas is coming. That song is whack. That's the only song on there that's whack. Is Nas Is Coming. But front to back, it's a classic album. Classic album. The setup, Black Girl Lost, Affirmative Action, The Message, Shootouts. What else is on? And just incredible body of work, front to back, in my opinion. Yeah. So that's where I got that album. Let's do a J. The Blueprint. Let's do Blueprint. Jay-Z, The Blueprint. Would y'all agree that that's a bad song from Nas? Nas Is Coming. That's the only song on there that's whack. Nas Is Coming is a bad song. Let's just be real. Nas Is Coming. Nas Is Coming. That song is whack. And Dr. Dre produced it. Dr. Dre should have you know what Dr. Dre should have done? Dr. Dre, instead of producing Nas Is Coming, he should have put Phone Tap on that album. Phone Tap should have been on that album instead of Nas Is Coming. Phone Tap would have been better on that album. Phone Tap from the Firm album should have been on It Was Written instead of Nas Is Coming. That would have been a better song to put on that album. But it is what it is. The Blueprint. The Blueprint is an incredible body of work. Lyrical exercise, song cry, never change, the takeover, the breaks over. God MC, me, Jehovah. Hey, little soldier, you ain't ready for war. Incredible body of work. Girls, girls, girls. Incredible body of work, man. H to the Izzo. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's a classic album. The Blueprint is a classic album. The Blueprint is a classic album. You know, whether you guys like it or not, the Blueprint is a classic album. It's pretty much Jay at his peak of his career. He's rapping his best. He has the best producers in the game. Just Blaze, Kanye West, Bink. He has the best producers in the game. He's at the peak of his career. This is Nas at his best. I'm sorry, but I have to put this at the top. This is a classic album. The Blueprint is a classic album. Hold on. He says "If I Rule the World" was on that album. Yeah, he's talking about it was written out. Yeah, If I Rule the World" was on that album. Yeah, it's a classic song. Classic song. If I rule the world. Classic song. But Blueprint 1, classic album. I gotta put it S tier. And this is the last album of the day. Stillmatic. I love Stillmatic. Classic album. I'm gonna be honest. There's a couple of songs on it that's kind of trash. Easily, this album is in the top 2 tiers, in my opinion. Top 2 tiers. This is one of Nas's best albums, easily. Rewind, The Flyest, Ether. What's the beginning track? Let me go to the track list, because this is an incredible album. This is one of Nas's best albums, easily one of his best albums. Stillmatic. Let me go to this track list. I want to pop up. Hold on. Got it. Yeah, Stillmatic, the intro, incredible. Ether, classic diss song. Got Yourself a Gun, great song. Smoking, cool. You're the Man, incredible song. Rewind, incredible song. One Mic, incredible song. Second Childhood, incredible song. Destroy and Rebuild, good song. The Flies with AZ, I love that song. Rule, great song. My Country, cool. What Goes Around in Every Ghetto. There's a couple. He could have made this album a little shorter. I don't think you needed the joints with every What Goes Around in Every Ghetto, but this is a really good album. This is one of Nas's best albums, but I gotta be honest, I'm gonna keep it a buck. It's not as good as it's not as good as Illmatic. It's not as good as Reasonable Doubt. It's not as good as It Was Written. It's not as good as The Blueprint. I could easily say, if I go through the list, Illmatic has no skips. There's no skips on Illmatic. Reasonable Doubt has no skips. It Was Written has one skip. It Was Written has one damn skip. One song that's bad. The Blueprint, for me, really no skips, in my opinion. There's really no skips on that album. If I look at Stillmatic, there's a couple of joints, and it's more so in the later half of the album There's a few skip, but it's a really great album. It's a really great. I think it's better than 444. But for me, I'm gonna put it A tier. It's better than 444. Let me put it right. It's better than 444. It's better than 444. It's better than American Gangster. I would put Lost Tapes is better than American Gangster. Let me put that. Hold on, give me 1 second. Yeah, Lost Tapes is better than American Gangster. Yeah, this is fair. I think that's fair. That's fair. It's very close though. Stillmatic could have been in the S tier. Stillmatic could have been in the S tier, but I think that the later half of the album kind of hurts that for me. The later half of the album makes it so that it can't be there for me. I gotta be honest. Gotta be honest. I see what you're saying, bro. Hold on. Let me put some of that up in the chat. 7 says, "Got yourself a gun." Yeah, man. Incredible song. "If I Rule the World." Yeah, that's a great song off of It Was Written. "If I rule the world, I free all my sons." Great song. Got Yourself a Gun is a great song. Got Yourself a Son is a great song. But I feel like with Stillmatic, there's a couple of songs on that album that make it not a necessarily flawless classic. Like for me, if you got a few songs on your album that are bad, that's what kind of hurts your album. Cause I'm looking at all of these albums, like I said, we can go through it again. Illmatic, no skips. Reasonable Doubt, no skips. It Was Written, one skip. Blueprint, no skips. So in that whole list, there's literally one skip. There's only one song in that list. I can't put Stillmatic in that list because it has a couple of skips in that album. There's a couple of skips. There's a couple of skips on that album for me. There's a couple of skips. A couple of skips. A couple of skips for me, man. How do you guys feel about this list, though? How do y'all feel about this list? How do y'all feel about this list? Do you agree with this list? Do you guys agree with this list? How y'all feel about this list? How do y'all feel about this list? Let me know. Look at the chat. How do y'all feel about it? Too many Nas albums in S tier? Let me know.
You don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious?
Let me look at the poll.
You don't find that suspicious?
My fault. I messed up the poll. The poll should have been who had a better discography, Jay or Nas. It is what it is. Yeah, but that's my tier list on Jay and Nas. Let me see if I could do any alterations. Let me look at the alterations. I'm not mad at the S tier. I got Godson over. Okay, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at this. American Gangster. Yeah. I'd put American. Yeah, I'd put it like that. Actually, no. I think I'm gonna put that there. The Black Album. Okay. Not mad at this. I'd probably put this a little higher. Yeah, I'd put this a little higher. I'd actually put this at number 1 here. I'd put I Am a little higher. I think I Am is the best album in this D tier. Might be the best album in this D tier. I Am, then I'd put Magic 1. Then I might put Volume 1 here. Actually, I think I'll put Volume 1 here over Magic. Yeah. Do I like Nostradamus? I mean, do I like I Am or Volume 1 better? I'm thinking now. Hold on. Do I like Nostradamus or Volume 1? I'm going through the list right now. Hold on. I'm going through the list right now. I'm going through the list right now. Okay, hold on. Okay, Black Album. I'm not mad at that. Volume 1. Okay. I'd put King's Disease over Godson. I'd put actually both of these over Godson. I Am, excuse me. I Am or Volume 2. I'm just making some alterations to where I want things placed. Volume 1 or I Am. I ain't gonna lie. I think I like Volume 1 over I Am. Yeah, I think I'm gonna put that out. I Am. Then I'm gonna go. Volume 2. Magic. I think I'm gonna go here. Life is Good is better than Hip Hop is Dead. Definitely, this is better. What's this? Oh, 3. 3 is pretty good. Hold on, I'm making my alterations. 3 is pretty good. Yeah, 3 is pretty good. I think I'm gonna put 3 over this as well. And this. Yeah. I think that's fair. I Am Volume 1, The Nostradamus. Volume 2. I think I'm gonna put Magic over Volume 2. Because Volume 2, we got too many songs. So Volume 2, Magic. I think this is fair. I think I like this list. Seven says it's a good list. I'm out though. Salute to 7. He says it's a good list. Salute to 7. Salute. That's a good list though. Yeah, man. Listen, man. It is what it is, man. Yeah, listen. This is just a tier list. I just wanted to make a list and give my thoughts on the list. But let me know what you guys think on my list, though. I think we did a pretty good job here. But make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. We are out.